One day a professor came into his lecture room and he had his students in front of him. He wanted to teach them a lesson. So he brought a large jar with him and 5 rocks around the size of the fist. He placed the rocks inside the jar until they reached to the top. He asked his students the question, is the jar full? Is it? Well, some said yes, some said no. He then took a bag of pebbles and poured the pebbles all the way until they reached the top of the jar. You know the question, is it? He then took a bag of sand and poured the sand, and the sand fitted in all around the rocks, all around the pebbles, and fitted into those tiny, tiny spaces that nothing else could fit. So the question is, he asked, is it full? Some students said yes, some said no. He then took some water and poured the water to the top of the jar until it reached the very top and no more water could be poured in. Is it? Now, most of the students by this time are saying, yes, it's full. But the professor, being the professor, took a bag of salt and poured the salt into the top of the jar until everything had been dissolved. Now, is the jar full? And yes, the jar was full. So, what's the lesson to be learnt there? And it's a lovely story that you can tell to different people on different occasions, depends on your interpretation. My interpretation is that those large rocks were the important things for us, either in our personal life or in our business. In business, it's usually the biggest things that we need to do. They're the important things. And the sand and the pebbles and maybe doing the real paperwork and things that we could do other people, we could delegate to other people. So the 3 things I want to share with you is, first of all, the Pareto principle. Now, this principle says that 80% of your results will come from only 20% of your efforts. So in terms of the sales force, 80% of your sales will only really come from 20% of your customers. And if we're talking about something financial, 80% of your financial gains will only come from most probably around 20% of your services or your products. So the first thing you need to know is, what is your 20%? What are the 2 things out of 10 that you're doing that make the biggest impact for you in your business? If you want to swap it over, for you in your life. So that's the first thing. You need to identify. It's so important. So many people spend their time on things that actually aren't going to help them propel them forward in their business. So first of all, identify what are the things that you need to do that are the most important and will have the biggest impact on your business and your life. The second one is to do those things first. I know it sounds really obvious, but sometimes people will procrastinate. Yeah, I know, not us. They'll procrastinate and they'll do the sand, they'll do the pebbles because having to do that big thing first. It's just, they can't get their head around it. Well, guys, as Tracey says, you need to eat that biggest frog first. First thing in the morning, or really the first time you get up in the morning is the best time to do something. Now for me, sometimes the gym is really a hard thing to do, to exercise. But I know if I get up in the morning, I don't think about it and I just do it, by about 9:30, I'm done. And I actually feel elated that I've done something that I found difficult first. So if it's one of your projects, start doing it first thing in the morning. And my third point is, don't move on to other things until you finish that big thing first. Later on in one of my other videos, I'll talk about the ABCDE method of how you can prioritize your tasks, your goals. But one of the biggest things is you need to focus and you need to really, really be disciplined not to move on to anything else until you've finished a large chunk of your stone, whatever that may be, in your business. So recap, focus and find out what is your 20%. Do it first thing and get it out of the way. And 3, try not to move on to anything else until you finish that. So, I'm Elaine Powell. I'm your mindset development coach, helping you to be unstoppable in your life and business. Join me at elainepowell.com, sign up for my newsletters, and hey, guys, let's become unstoppable.